Ladies and gentlemen, the day after the close of the RNC convention, by all accounts, one of the most important and well-produced of all of the political conventions that we've ever seen, at least in the modern era. Going to talk a lot about it. Going to talk about the speech that President Trump gave. We're going to talk about some of the other things that happened this past week at the RNC, and the radical communist socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, is in free fall. Will Joe stay or will he go? Will he stay or will he go? It's anybody's guess at this point. Biden's staff comes out this morning and says he's in it to win it, so we shall see. But first, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about the RNC convention. Everything that you need to know, including the highlights and what President Trump and J.D. Vance are up to next. As we begin, ladies and gentlemen, the right side with Doug Billings is upon you. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey, everybody. My name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to do a big shout-out for my great friend and one of the best in the business, Mr. Doug Billings. Right side with Doug Billings, right side with Doug Billings. Doug is the future of the airwaves when it comes to independent broadcasters and podcasters. He is the new Rush Limbaugh. He's exactly what America needs right now, looking for honesty, looking for wisdom, looking for truth, looking for patriotism. Listen to Doug Billings at Right Side with Doug Billings. God bless you and God bless America, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are winning. We're winning, winning, winning. Welcome to the Right Side with Doug Billings. Are you ready?
We are not liberal snowflakes who melt away in the face of tragedy, adversity, and challenge. We are a covenant nation under God, and His divine providence is not dead and it's not gone. It is living within each and every one of you. And you will bring it to life in such a way that the world has never seen before. We never back down. We never give up. We march forward.
All right, everybody, the Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks very much for being out there from around the planet. I appreciate you very much. Coming to you, as I always do, from smack dab in the middle of the fruited plain of the United States of America. And as I take a glance over here at these emails, wow, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm appreciating this. A couple of newbies on the list as far as countries are concerned. We get a few from England and Spain. We got some yesterday. Thank you, Italy and Turkey. I don't think I've ever, at least as far as I can recall, I don't think I've ever gotten an email from Turkey, but thank you very much for watching the program. Wow, over there in Istanbul. We appreciate you very much. United States, Canada, Mexico also represented in this day's batch of emails. I read them, and they mean more to me than you know, my friends. I promise you that. So also, thanks for standing shoulder to shoulder with me over at DougBillings.us. Truly, this is what I really appreciate. I have asked you many times to prayerfully consider heading over there and making a recurring monthly donation to the program so that I can continue to bring you the truth. And you have answered that call. I appreciate it very much. Continue to go over there, please. I give you the show for free. And I just ask that you prayerfully consider, what is the truth worth to you? What is the correct and proper and honest analysis of the state of play in America and around the world worth to you? And just let me know your answer by means of a recurring monthly donation over at DougBillings.us. That is how we continue not only to make a living, but also to bring you the truth. We're in it shoulder to shoulder. Many of you know my story, right? 4 years ago, left corporate America because I was fired for bringing people the truth about the COVID vaccine and the shots. I was in the healthcare industry, and I started this program in a studio that I made in my home. So I gave up everything. I'm here with you, as we all have answered the call to some degree or another, correct? We have all, during these last few years, I think, felt the tap of God on our shoulder saying, excuse me, thank you very much for the work that you've done so far and up to date, but I need you over here now. And God, in His wisdom, puts us in places that we may never have expected to be. And 4 years ago, I was placed here with you, good people, and I have never regretted it, not 1 minute of regret. It's one of my highlights. It's the honor of a lifetime to be able to talk to all of you, and I mean that sincerely. So DougBillings.us is where I always ask people to go if they like it, if they like the show, if they like me, and they like the message and the truth and the analysis, DougBillings.us. Click on the donate button, and you can set up a recurring monthly donation over there. Okay, so the Republican National Convention. came to an end last night. By all accounts, everybody who's not a partisan hack and brainwashed and not plagued by intellectual immaturity, everybody has called it one of the best political conventions that has been held ever. So almost all of the speeches were passionate. They were charismatic. They were patriotic. President Trump, his family, grandchildren and all children, he's just raised an amazing family. And now with Melania by his side, one of the, if not the most beautiful, classiest first ladies that we've ever had in this republic. And it was just great to see. And just a beautiful group of people, so nice and cordial. I've been lucky enough to meet several of them, and they are the real deal. They are funny, they are intelligent, and they're listeners. It's not about them. And I know that the media paints that picture. But what you heard from those speakers over the last few days is exactly what I've encountered myself. I concur with all of them. But Donald Trump didn't have to, nor his children did they have to depend on illegal and illicit dealings with foreign countries, did they, to make money? Nobody within the Trump family had to set up a deal for the big guy, right? Like we've heard so much from the other side. So it's good to see a moral and wholesome family in the public eye like that, especially in roles of service with regards to the republic. I loved it, and most everyone else, by all accounts, again, unless you're a partisan hack, thought it was a job well done. So what the conference did, what the convention did, in essence, was seal the 2024 election for President Trump. I am not being complacent, and I realize, believe me, we have a lot of work to do between now and November 5th. But this week, President Trump has further sealed the outcome of the election with his performance last night and with the speakers that were there, and the production overall was outstanding. I think that his speech was the most historical speech given by anybody, by any nominee of either political party in the history of the republic. And that says quite a bit. I understand it. But there was so much history already surrounding him. All he had to do was walk on the stage, and it was historic, given the events of last Saturday, right? So what he did right were so many things. He avoided the polarization and the division, quite frankly, that have become common elements of rhetoric in past speeches. His speech, where he officially accepted the Republican nomination for president, with only a couple of references to the elections of 2020, he drove home key messages talking about inflation, energy independence, foreign relations, manufacturing, and of course, illegal immigration, obviously, in the issue of the day. And he spoke directly to John and Jane Doe on the streets of Main Street, America, which was incredibly well done. He spoke to the American people, not just to the Republican Party. He was compelling. He was emotionally responsive to the fundamental needs of Americans. He understands what they're going through. It was obvious that he did. And I read a great deal of stuff that's put forth on social media. I read news articles. I read the news wires, that political commentators, pundits, news anchors, and so forth, social media influencers, many of them who, by the way, are in no form or fashion supporters of President Trump, all had to admit, and they did, it was a well-produced convention. And it's interesting because today, even some of the most ardent never-Trumpers, even some of the ones who are so against the guy, are acknowledging, and it hurts them to do it, I can tell. None of these people who are never Trumpers and realize honestly so that the convention was a wild success, none of them take joy in admitting it, but at least they're honest enough to admit it. Some of the media, perhaps most of them, spin it, and they're going to throw out negative comments, and we all know that they do that. But it does us well when we see the other side, the members who are honest, report on it as such, because they knew that this was a simple speech in its essence, but it was profound in its effect. And that's the essence of a great speech. Trump spoke out about the American dream. He in many ways, he tapped into his inner Ronald Reagan. It was a Ronald-esque speech in a Trump style. Clearly, Trump has his own style, no doubt about it. But the topics and the themes of the speech were Reagan-esque. The American dream. He spoke of bringing people together, helping Black Americans, Hispanics, Asians, white people, everybody, men, women, young and old. And he also made a great deal he spent a great deal of time talking about the points of the people who have been left behind. And what we saw last night was something that President Trump really has never done before. And that was speaking to everybody, not just conservative MAGA members of the Republican Party, but to everybody. And he also understood that it was not a time to attack Administrator Biden, personally or by name. Now, I had predicted yesterday that President Trump was not going to mention Joe Biden at all. As it turns out, he had one reference to Biden, which was really, in essence, just a side note to let the crowd know in Milwaukee and around the world that he was thinking at a time that Biden is still floundering from the debate, the issues with COVID and so forth, and not to make Biden into a victim, but just as a side note. So Biden was mentioned once, and so I was off. I said he wouldn't mention him at all, but it is what it is, and he did well, President Trump, not to get into the muck of it all that often can happen between those two men. So instead, I think, in my estimation, President Trump charismatically identified the challenges that have been placed in front of the American people, challenges that have been purposefully put in front of us by Joe's Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, and has offered a personal and believable reassurance to us that going forward, things are going to be different with his leadership. He was calmer than usual. At the beginning, he was much more laid back, and I'll get to that in a minute. Obviously, he was talking about the events of last Saturday. But he did not get to policy specifics necessarily, other than to say he was going to close the border, cut taxes, and drill, baby, drill. We all saw that. But he did channel the Ronald Reagan message of hope, optimism, confidence that have been, honestly, not very plentiful in his speeches, in his campaign stops. He can get a crowd riled up, but it's usually talking about the chaos that has been purposefully thrust upon us by the Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, and Joe Biden's administration. But last night, he was positive and looking forward to the hope and the exceptionalism that are just within our grasp if we would get him back into the office of the White House. So he hit those points very hard, especially towards the end of his speech. I've got a clip for you. I think it's where he talks at the end about borders and tax cuts and so forth. And he talks about expectations and about how, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes our expectations are too low. I think we need to make our expectations higher. We're Americans. We're the shining city on the hill. We are a hope to the world and so forth. So, Logan, let's see if we can play clip number 1 here.
This immediately bring down interest rates and lower the cost of energy. We will drill, baby, drill. Can you believe what they're doing? But by doing that, we will lead a large-scale decline in prices. Prices will start to come down. Energy raised it. They took our energy policies and destroyed them. Then they immediately went back to them, but by that time, so much was lost. But we will do it at levels that nobody's ever seen before, and we'll end lots of different things. We'll start paying off debt and start lowering taxes even further. We gave you the largest tax cut. We'll do it more. You know, people don't realize I brought taxes way down, way down, and yet we took in more revenues the following year than we did when the tax rate was much higher. Most people said, how did you do that? Because it was incentive. Everybody was coming to the country. They were bringing back billions and billions of dollars into our country. The companies made it impossible to bring it back. The tax rate was too high.
And that was it. You know, he's talking about things that are common sense for anybody with a mind for economics. You lower the taxes, reduce taxes, give incentives to companies to build in America, make American products, and come into America. And there's more money that's earned when you cut taxes as opposed to the higher tax rates that decentivize people. And part of the speech that I really liked at the end, he was talking about exceptionalism. I'm just going to read a portion of the speech. I've got it here on my phone, so bear with me. There it is for you on the screen. You have been told to lower your expectations and to accept less for your families. I'm here tonight with the opposite message. Your expectations are not high enough. They're not big enough. It's time to start expecting and demanding the best leadership in the world. Leadership that's bold, dynamic, relentless, and fearless. We can do that. We are Americans. Ambition is our heritage. Greatness is our birthright. But as long as our energies are spent fighting each other, our destiny will remain out of reach. And that's not acceptable. We must instead take that energy and use it to realize our country's true potential and write our own thrilling chapter of the American story. We can do it together. We will unite. We are going to come together, and success will bring us together. And again, so Trump hits on his what is success definition. And his definition of success is, of course, succeeding in bringing us back together. Excellent portion of that speech. So cheers to his speechwriters. I know that his fingerprints are all over that speech. The team of people that helped him put it together, the delivery was spot on, and it was a call for unity. And as I said, it's not really the rhetoric that we're used to hearing from Donald Trump, and it's good that he began to do it last night. I think the events of Saturday obviously had a profound effect on him. So that's the first part of the analysis. We're not done. We're going to continue to look at that, including the first time in American political history where the president of the Teamsters Union came to deliver remarks at a Republican National Convention. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thanks for heading over to DougBillings.us. Please do so and prayerfully consider setting up a recurring monthly donation over there. And the phone lines will be opening. If you want to get in on all of this and talk with me about it, 901-316-8404. 901-316-8404 is the phone line. They are open when we come back, so get in line. I'll be right back after you take this great and wonderful trip into capitalism. Stay with me. I'll be back. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that you could change the trajectory of your aging process? Look and feel better, live younger, be more active, less pain when you move around, sleep better, diminish the lines and the wrinkles on your face? Really? This is what I'm telling you. It's possible. You see, low stem cell activity happens when we get older, and it could be causing many of the health problems that some people have in the world today. Because as we get older, we have less stem cell activity, which means we age faster and we heal slower. The secret is a clinically proven and patented phototherapy non-transdermal patch, whose technology is the result of over 90 clinical studies and over 20 years of research. Your healthier life can begin today, and you can discover true age reversal. Age reversal, ladies and gentlemen. Please go to liveyounger.doug.us. liveyounger.doug.us, ladies and gentlemen. Get over there today. Or if you'd like, text my name, Doug, to 41372. Doug, text it, 41372. And get over to liveyounger.doug.us. Get younger, feel younger. I'm doing it. I'm wearing this patch. I feel great. And so will you. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
I want to tell you about the good people over at EMP Shield, electromagnetic pulse, ladies and gentlemen. it can fry your home electrical system or your vehicle's electrical system. But if you attach one of these, now this is for your breaker box at home. There's a smaller version that goes on your battery of your car, your vehicle, that will prevent it from being fried in the event of an electromagnetic pulse. Because as you know, thanks to Administrator Biden, many people coming across the border now who don't exactly have the best of intentions. Protect yourself. EMPshield.com. Get huge discounts over there if you use the promo code Doug.
The Right Side with Doug Billings, where we meet in determined prayer and determined patriotism.
Right on, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and thank you for being with me today as we stand shoulder to shoulder to regain and reclaim the Republic from the grip of the Communist Socialists, formerly known as Democrat Party. So last night, the RNC, the speech that Donald Trump gave, I'm telling you, a historical moment, historical speech, a historical convention in general. The beginning of his speech, obviously, when he begins to talk about the events of last Saturday, very emotional. The closest we've seen President Trump to become visibly emotional on camera in front of us. We were all glued to our television sets. We were all listening, watching. And he did the recall, the recount, the retelling of the events of last Saturday in a tasteful manner. We had empathy and emotion for the man. No one who, whether you like him or not, could have been unaffected by that portion of the speech. And even though most of us have seen the video of those events several times by now, President Trump really had us gripped all of the way through his telling of that story. It was an experience that we will never forget, and we are so grateful. We came so close to having a Kennedy-like assassination happen right in front of us. And I think it's for that reason, primarily, that millions of people that would have otherwise not watched this thing did, in fact, tune in. People that did not have any interest in the RNC or politics in general tuned in specifically to see President Trump's first appearance and first public comments about the event since they happened. So in short, the entire speech and the way that it was produced with his family, his children, his grandchildren in the mix, it made Trump into a likable fellow. It did. And it created vast numbers of Americans who are sympathetic to what he's gone through. And not just the events that took place on last Saturday, mind you, but sympathetic to all of the other stuff, not just the would-be assassin. But Trump has faced difficult challenges ever since coming down that escalator in 2015 to announce his candidacy for the 2016 election. And people are beginning to now have empathy and sympathy, compassion for him. It's dawning on them. This is why millions of people are leaving that communist socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, to come over to the right side. All of it, every bit of what he went through, disinformation, right? Foolery, jackassery, Russian hoax, Russian collusion, impeachment, lawfare, false accusations, kangaroo courts, 34 verdicts that are temporary and not permanent. They're all going to be overturned, ladies and gentlemen. All of this adding up to his favor. All of this adding up to his new branding of this heroic figure, this heroic man. By any standard, by any measure at all, Trump rose to the occasion and offered us something profound that's been missing, completely missing from Administrator Biden's regime. And those things that are missing from Biden's encampment are hope, strength, and optimism. The image of President Trump that was seen throughout the week at the convention, standing up, raising his fist in the air, the American flag waving in the background, and yelling the word fight, perfectly illustrates the American values of manhood. I'm saying it out loud. He demonstrated to us the qualities that we all want to see in America, but for so long have been squelched by the radical left woke mob. What America and the world saw last Saturday was a real American man who took a shot, literally, and he got back up, unfazed, and in fact, more determined than ever to fight for the American dream and for the American Republic. Folks, listen, for several decades, this is no surprise, I'm sure, to many of you, but for several decades, over the course of many generations of Americans, because of the American media, the feminist movement, or the love of Pete, the woke agenda, the LGBTQ kook movement, liberal families, all of this combines together, and that side has endeavored to create and put forth the image of weaklings as men. Feminized images of wussies is what they've given themselves over there. And with the Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, in absolute free fall and in so much disarray these days, internal chaos, not knowing what to do, chaos on a national level, which is purposeful, and it's by design, President Trump increases his already strong lead in the hearts and the minds and the souls of the American people because of his depiction of what manhood is supposed to be. And this causes liberal heads to explode. I know you trolls out there, I know you follow and you post. This is making your heads absolutely rupture. But that's what it is. Manhood of the American essence. It's absolutely what has been, at least they've tried to squash it out on the left. It was the best choreographed, best written, and best produced convention that any of us have seen in our lifetime. You'd have to be brainwashed, an absolute staunch partisan, or someone who's plagued with vast amounts of intellectual immaturity to not be able to admit that out loud. And he's doing a phenomenal job, President Trump is, gathering all Americans in. Especially worth noting is the working class. Now, he's been doing this his whole life in his business as a builder and a developer, had special and really close relationships with the working class people. Union members, blue-collar workers, welders, construction workers, you name it. Union workers who watch pro wrestling and the UFC, right, along with the rest of us. These are the people that are now on board, who for so long were part of the radical liberal movement. So these people have been welcomed in, and we saw people this week, many of you commented on it, a few people whose past lives were not what we would consider moral or conservative, but how dare we judge, right? But who now have, because of their experiences and because of what the administration of this coalition of immorality has done, people who have now been awakened to the conservative movement. And so they've turned away from the evil and the liberal mob that has for so long seduced people into believing their lies. And so these people come to the Republican National Convention, they tell their stories, and they're now standing with Trump, prepared to vote for him and to encourage their followers to vote for him. He's the first American president to have garnered for himself and the party such broad support from working class Americans, from both sides, politically Republican, politically liberal. He's gathered them all in. He's taken over this Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party's decades-long grip on the American worker. They love him. He knows how to speak their language. If it weren't for the radical media who paints another picture of him, which is not true, and spun all the way out of reality, you would see this. Remember, Trump is one of them. Despite his wealth, his ability to build relationships with American workers began back in the days when he would go around from construction site to construction site with his father, meeting these people, shaking their hands, and chipping in to help, by the way. And this is why he invited Sean O'Brien. Sean O'Brien is the president of the Teamsters Union. It's the first time that a nominee from the Republican side of the aisle has invited the president of the Teamsters Union. And it was quite a speech that Sean, I wish we had time to play it all. Look it up when we're done with this program. Look it up on YouTube or something. But we do have a clip, and I think it's worth watching. Sean O'Brien, ladies and gentlemen, president of the Teamsters, with a little couple-minute, 3-minute clip of his address to the RNC. Take a look. Clip number 2 here, ladies and gentlemen.
I'd like to give my peeps from the greatest state in the nation, Massachusetts, some props. What's up? First, I want to thank the hardworking Teamsters and union members here in Milwaukee who play vital roles in the building and operations of this convention. I also want to thank President Donald Trump for opening the RNC's doors to the Teamsters Union and inviting me to speak before you tonight. I travel all across this country and meet with my members every week. You know what I see? An American worker being taken for granted. Workers being sold out to big banks, big tech, corporates, and the elite. And I'm not the only one who sees this. Everyday families see it. The American people aren't stupid. They know the system is broken. We all know how Washington is run. Working people have no chance of winning this fight. That's why I'm here today. Because I refuse to keep doing the same things my predecessors did. Today, the Teamsters are here to say we are not beholden to anyone or any party. We will create an agenda and work with a bipartisan coalition ready to accomplish something real for the American worker. And I don't care about getting criticized. It's an honor to be the first Teamster in our 121-year history to address the Republican National Convention.
It's amazing, and it is real, ladies and gentlemen, historical in so many ways. That is a true historical moment. Don't let it be lost upon you. Trump bringing these kinds of people into the fold. I'll be right back. I want to talk more about it, and specifically about some of the people who on social media were lambasted and made fun of because of their appearances on the RNC stage. And I'm going to give you my opinions about how we should be dealing with that when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, also, DougBillings.us. Please head over there after the show, of course. DougBillings.us, and prayerfully consider a recurring monthly donation over there for me, please, so that we can continue to bring you the truth. I'm going to be right back. Stay with me. Cheers.
Doug Billings, the shining light of truth and American exceptionalism.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Right Side with Doug Billings, where the rumors are true. I love pointing out the intellectual immaturity of liberals everywhere, and every chance I get. I do it with your help. Share the show, like, subscribe, wherever you are. Click the follow button, subscribe button, and make sure that you're kept up to date with all of this. Special thanks to the folks at worldviewtube.com and Spreely TV, partners with me in all of this. You can watch the show live on X, on Facebook, and YouTube. Go over to YouTube. Check it out over there. We're trying to rebuild the brand over there. You know, they canceled us once. We're trying to rebuild it over there. So Rumble is also another option. So thank you for being with me shoulder to shoulder. Last night, the RNC, final speech by Donald Trump. During the week, several people came up on the stage. And I noticed on social media, some of these people, some of these better than thou, mightier than thou, talking heads and influencers on social media. So I've got a few things to say about this. Amber Rose is one of the names that came up, and everybody got, some conservatives, so-called Christian conservatives, heads explode and say, why we haven't her up? Oh, my God, the Republican Party has lost its way. Oh, my God, the world is over as we know it. Folks, look, during the course of the convention, a lot of that was going on. People out there who claim to align with conservative values and so forth, getting all worked up because of certain guests who were invited to speak at the convention. I think, my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, and look, I don't mean to offend any of you if you held those opinions. However, I want to talk to you about it. It's a huge mistake to judge and otherwise turn people away from the right side because of the way that their lives used to be, the way that they once were, or because you don't agree with their current faith tradition. J.D. Vance's wife took a lot of heat. We have to stop that nonsense. The Republican National Convention is not a place where we're out to save souls necessarily. Now, bear with me on this. The Republican National Convention is a place where people who want to believe in and support conservative American values, or the building up of American law and order, or for that matter, building up the kingdom of heaven on earth, who want to leave the radical liberal movement and come to a place where they're safe and where they can be welcomed. And with our welcoming, ladies and gentlemen, we can then perhaps begin to let the Holy Spirit do his work and begin the job to influence and inspire these people towards a greater experience in conversion. But to judge them and kick them out and blame them and crucify them publicly on social media is not the Christian way. It's not the way of any good person of faith. The fastest way to lose souls is to reject them outright. We save the republic and we save souls by welcoming them and embracing them, no matter the differences, no matter the past lives that they have, or maybe even the current stuff that they're doing that needs a little nudge away. We need to nudge them away, but we don't just outright reject them. Amber Rose is a great example, 25 million followers, and she's going to urge them to vote for Donald Trump. And yet some of you want to cancel her because she has an OnlyFans page. All right, that's not where we are and where we want to go, but that's not also the way to bring in new people. We'll deal with that later. Oh, but Doug, we're selling our souls. We're selling our souls and we're giving up our belief. And no, we're not. No, we're not. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's some famous person in Scripture who spent a lot of time with people who led really bad lives and who never judged them, who welcomed them. And once they felt the welcome, he then challenged them to do better and not sin again. I'm fairly sure that I remember that famous figure in Scripture. So if someone shows up at our tent because they're worried about the trajectory of America or our society, they're looking around and it dawns on them that the life they've been living isn't the life that they want, and they've been fooled and lied to by the radical left mob and their coalition of immorality. And if someone shows up at the tent who are worried about the diminishment of the American identity, or they're worried about the effect that liberal policies and politics and platforms have on children, and on the future of this republic, then we need to let them in the tent, not reject them outright. From there, because of our love, because of our respect for them, for our ability to see them as a human being, flaws and all, and as a potential conservative on the right side, the Holy Spirit can take it from there. Folks, listen. If God were to come down here and say, hey, let's make a line, everybody line up. I've said this before. I want to see a line, God says, of everybody who's made a mistake in this life. Line up right now. Doug Billings would be first in that line. How many of you would be there with me? So why do we think it's okay and acceptable to publicly crucify people who may not live a life that we like, who may not belong to the faith tradition that we like or that we belong to, but who are searching and who have honestly come to us with a sincere heart to find something better than what has given them by the radical left liberal pack of lies and their coalition of immorality? How dare we try to shut them out? Some of the devil's favorite demons, I'm convinced, and you're not going to find these names in Scripture. This is my idea, but some of Satan's favorite demons are the demons of judgment, of rejection, and of exclusion. And if you get possessed by those demons, God help you, because you will never have anyone in your life worth substance, and we will not have anybody within our party if we allow ourselves to be possessed by the demons of judgment, rejection, and exclusion. Satan loves it when Christian conservatives become judgmental, rejectionists, and exclusionists. He loves it. That's exactly what he wants. And so many people who claim to be Christians on social media fall right into that trap. Satan loves it when Christians let their ego get the best of them with their high and mighty attitudes that drive people away. That's what he wants. And so when all of these people show up at our tent, right, that's a big problem for the enemy. Can't have it because we're the party that aligns with God. The Republican conservative movement is the only major political party in this republic that openly embraces God, his divine providence, and the intent of the founding fathers. Now, we're not perfect, not by a long shot. But that's why people like my friend Father James Altman have said you can't be a Democrat and a Catholic. You can't be a Democrat and a Christian. Catholics are Christians, just in case you're from Raytown, Missouri. Want to make that clear. But you cannot be a person of faith and be a Democrat. They've kicked God out of their party. Look at their platform. The party that would dare to suggest to children that they would have to mutilate their genitalia in order to find meaning and joy and wonder in this life. That is demonic. It is evil. The Republican Party is not perfect. The MAGA movement is not perfect. But at least we strive to recognize God, his divine providence, and the rights that he's given us. At least we strive to understand the inspiration that he welled up within the founders when they wrote our founding documents. At least we strive to adhere to their original intent. So yeah, I get a little worked up when I see these people on social media carrying on like this. I really don't have a lot of patience for that. It's counterproductive. It's not what we're all about. It's not Christian, quite frankly. All right, a lot more to talk about on that. Ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines are open. I'm not done. I'm only just getting started. 901-316-8404, 901-316-8404. Get in line. The phone lines are open. And please, again, I'm asking, head over to DougBillings.us at some point this week. DougBillings.us. Prayerfully consider a voluntary monthly recurring donation so that I can continue to bring you this show. The radical left is still after us. They still try to cancel us, mute us, shadow ban us, and so forth, trying to get the message out. So please, wherever you are listening to this, on X, please follow me. Please subscribe. Please follow. On Rumble, same thing. YouTube, please head over to YouTube and subscribe at Real Doug Billings on YouTube, at Doug Billings on Twitter, on X. Find me, the right side, Doug Billings. I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, with more right after this. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Would you like to gain access to over 20 years of my radio shows, TV shows, my books? I've written 15 books, and most of those books are ebooks now. And we have conference DVDs, conferences where we filmed our conferences at the Ozarks, literally starting 20 years ago. It's all available in our archived vault. All you have to do is go to worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and for a reasonable monthly fee, you gain access to over 20 years of Christian worldview programming, news, information, books, documentaries, and a powerful search engine. And folks, it's a great way not only to educate yourself, equip yourself, but it's a big way that you can help fund our continuation as a broadcast network. Please check it out. worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and help us continue pushing out a Christian worldview.
TWC.health/Brandon. This is one of our sponsors, has been now for a few years. Here it is. You just go there. If you use that URL, folks, you not only save money, but our program gets credit, which helps us keep doing great shows like this for free and pushing them out. TWC.health/Brandon. Look up here at the top of the page where it says Med Kits. Go down there to the one that says Contagion Emergency Kit. Contagion Emergency Kit. That's the one you want, right, Dr. McCullough?
Right. That's going to cover bird flu. Just you start on day one. I think all the animal workers, people in rural areas need to have these. You can't wait around for the pharmacist. If you start early, that comes with telemedicine. We can intensify the antivirals, get other drugs going. Very affordable. Join through Brandon's website. Join as a member because we're working on ways to replace the used drugs. And you have to be a member to get that advantage.
Doug Billings, reminding you that conservatives are better looking than liberals.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That's the truth. Conservatives are better looking. I mean that sincerely, and smarter, too. Welcome back to the right side. Freedom, liberty, justice raining down over here like manna from heaven. And it's the inclusion of what we want to make well known that we will include you in this movement. I ended last segment. I get worked up about people who are judgmental. I really think it's the enemy working against us, and we've got to be resilient. We're not sacrificing any of our core beliefs. We're not sacrificing our integrity to welcome people in and give them the chance to be led and inspired by you good people and by the Holy Spirit and be led to that kind of depth and breadth of relationship with the Lord that we want. And so we don't just turn them away. And because of this inclusion, the rebranding of the Republican Party is one of welcoming. That's what they were after this week at the RNC. If you didn't notice it, to welcome in these people. It is not a time to judge, to baptize, and save souls at the Republican National Committee. That's not the time for that. That will come later, as long as you're decent people, as long as you're decent and welcoming. We can get that accomplished. And because the entire convention was so profoundly well produced, it's really difficult for me to imagine Administrator Biden or whoever this communist socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party nominee is going to be, because it went so well. And they are in such disarray. Now, this morning on Morning Joe on MSNBC, I watch it so that you don't have to. Don't worry. I'll tell you what happened. So Micah, Joe Scarborough, the gang over there at MSNBC Morning Joe, they had a guest on, one of the members, the senior members of the Biden campaign. Oh, no, Joe's not giving up. He's not dropping out. He's still in it to win it. And so they don't know what the heck's going on. You got people at Newsmax predicting that Biden's going to be out by the end of this weekend. We'll see. We'll see. Does it really matter at the end of the day? Not really. Trump is so much part of what the American people want. I am not, and I'm going to disclaimer again, I've said it repeatedly. This does not mean we sit back and rest on our laurels. It does not mean that we become complacent. A lot of work to do between now and November 5th. We take nothing for granted. But they are in absolute chaos over there. They're in disarray. They don't know what end is up. I can tell you that it's not going to be Michelle Obama. Please put that nonsense to rest. It's not going to be him, if you know what I mean. Too much baggage there to deal with. Even though on one hand you would think, well, that would be the perfect candidate for them. It's one of their own. The LGBTQ kook transgender movement would love that if Big Mike got involved. Not going to happen. They've got delegates, just like the Republicans. Those people that you saw on the convention floor in this week, those are delegates. They're there because they were elected. They were chosen to be there. The Democrat Party does the same thing. And although you and I both know the Democrats don't care about rules when they apply to us or to the American Republic, they do very much care about rules that have to do with them and their organization internally. And the delegates, the millions of the ballots that have gone out and been returned, have voted for Joe Biden to be their nominee. And by rule and by law, those delegates can go to nobody else unless Joe drops out. And when Joe drops out, those delegates can only go to Kamala Harris. They cannot go to Gavin Newsom, not under the current rules. So they're going to have to either bust their backsides to change the rules, because there's not a lot of time to get that done either. Or they're going to have to come up with something or let Biden run. So there's not a lot of choices there. There's three choices. And from what they're saying today, I mean, it's been nonstop. From the Biden campaign, we're not dropping out. And then you hear the rumor mill from everywhere else, it appears, like speculation, letters from Democrats, funders withdrawing, all of this. Well, none of us really know, at least not publicly yet. But it's not, we have to deal with reality. Let's see what happens. Maybe Joe will drop out. I hope that he doesn't. A couple of things. I do not wish Joe bad health. I don't want the guy to die. And part of that is a very selfish reason, because I can't bear the thought of Kamala Harris being the first woman to occupy the White House. Oh, my gosh. Please, no. For the love of all that's good, please don't let that happen. So, Joe, stay in the race. It doesn't matter if it is Kamala, I would be repulsed at the idea of her, the first woman to occupy the White House, but we can beat her. Really, Kamala? Give me a break. And if she's the vice president, maybe J.D. Vance and her will have a debate, and just watch J.D. Vance. He will wipe up the floor with her. So the assassination attempt, the convention, I mean, folks, 2 months ago, I thought Trump was going to be in jail. I thought he was going to be in the jails. I didn't think the radical left was going to let go of that. Why would they? After all, since 2016, that's all they've wanted to do, is to take Trump out. So why would they just stop at 34 convictions? But now so much has changed in the course of just a few weeks that it's completely changed to the right side. The momentum is clearly here. The moral high ground is on our side. I'm telling you, the divide of support between the Trump conservative movement and the Biden commu socialists has become wider and wider. While our numbers are swelling, their numbers are diminishing across the board. And they will continually post lie after lie about polls. Some poll that they find that shows Biden in the lead. Folks, that is abjectly untrue nonsense. And many of the people who are being won over in all of this are Democrats coming to our side. People like Amber Rose, people like other folks that we've seen, John and Jane Doe on the streets of America, who may well have voted for Administrator Biden, who are looking around saying, this is not what I signed up for. I'm going to vote for Trump this time. We'll take it. Come on in. Come on in the tent. But Doug, they're not Christian. They're Hindu. How dare we? Really? That's what some of us are saying. And that's got to stop. It's got to stop. These people who are not radicalized by the liberal left, who, although they may have voted for Biden, are decent people. They're hardworking people. They are not by nature evil. They just have a family tradition of voting for Democrats, or they were just uninformed. and now they're waking up. So we have to welcome them in and urge them to remain. That's our task, because what they're hearing from the Republican Party today is explicit and it's clear. We are trying to unify the entire republic and put aside the vitriol, put aside the venom, put aside the hate that's been so frequently, so openly, and so often called for by members of the radical left. I could show you a clip, and I already have in other shows, of a montage from Nancy Pelosi to Chuck Schumer to Johnny Depp to Madonna to Kathy Griffin to everybody in between, news anchors calling for assassination of President Trump. I could show you the clip, and maybe I will again next week, just as a reminder that the Republican Party is putting all of that aside. No more. We are here for everyone in the Republic, and that's what Trump did so brilliantly last night, and what the convention did by inviting a mix of people in. That's what they did. They welcomed them. This is an election, ladies and gentlemen. We have got to win. We have got to show up and welcome people to vote on the right side. It's our new brand, welcoming in. Worry about conversion of souls at church and on your own time. The Republican Party needs to be divergent and diverse. It's not a DEI assignment. Don't freak out, but we need to be welcoming. And we need to make sure that we do not become victims of the demons of judgment, exclusion, and ridicule. We cannot do it. The liberal agenda is weakening, and it's driving more people towards us in record numbers. So again, the production, the speakers, the overall message of it was great. I loved it. I had a great time watching it. I hope you did too. I hope you all have a great weekend. I really do. God bless you. Thanks again, sincerely, for being with me on this program, on all of the social media platforms. Again, I ask you to follow me, to subscribe to the program. If there's a subscribe option, please subscribe so that you're always notified and in touch with us. I want to be in touch with you. Have a great upcoming weekend, and sometime over the weekend, stop over at DougBillings.us. DougBillings.us, and offer prayerfully a recurring monthly donation so that I can continue to bring you the program. Have a great weekend with your families and all whom you hold dear, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.